Welcome to the Good Shit Show. I'm Lindsay at a new location that feels way more fancy and professional than I deserve. But you know what? Here we are, and I love it, and I'm glad to see you. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe, share, all the things. Hey, also, this is fun. We have an Instagram account now, so go follow us on Instagram. It's at the Good Shit Show, but there's no I in shit. Just like there's no I in team, and we're here together as a team. I'm so sorry, that was super cheesy. It's fine. So follow us on Instagram. You'll see behind the scenes stuff. There'll be places for you to enter in your good shit. And also on that note, this podcast doesn't exist without your good shit. So make sure you fill out the Google form that should be linked in the description. It is all about you. So yeah. So this week we are talking all about love and relationships and romance. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We're talking about love, relationships, feelings, all those things. And last week we talked about work being kind of the ultimate good shit, but relationships also are a great teaming of good and shit. So as we go into the episode, I want to preface this with sometimes when people are in love, they express that love in a physical sense. And there is an anonymous submission today in the celebration station good shit that talks about this physical expression of love. So I'm using very careful language if there are sensitive ears around, but I'm also dropping the word shit a million times. So do with that what you will. But I just wanted to mention that. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's talk about love, relationships, all aboard Celebration Station. Choo choo. All right. First good thing that we're celebrating about love this week comes from my sweet friend Karen. And Karen is celebrating that she is in love at a mature age. And I'm using air quotes for those of you who can't see me because she put quotation marks in the submission. She is enjoying her life with adult children. So you might say she's in her second act. And during the second act, she has fallen in love. So I love that for her. And I love that for anyone in that point of life. I feel like oftentimes young love and, teenage love, sorry, and that kind of relationship is often glamorized and hyped up. But finding love and being in love, whether you find the love at this point or you're in the love at this point, is so beautiful. It is just such a joy to be able to see that. When I look at the people around me that are in their later years and they're in love, it is such a beautiful and inspiring thing to see. Whether they're being affectionate with each other or they're poking fun at each other or they're just sitting together and sweetly holding hands at church. I'm getting emotional. Anyway, love that for you, Karen. It's really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing it. All right, next submission in our celebration station regarding love and relationships. This person is anonymous and she says, I have entered into a coaching relationship with a sex therapist in order to heal past trauma and grow closer to my partner. Yay! All right, time out. If you're listening with children and you've already explained to them what the word shit means, now's the time for you to stop the podcast, explain to them how babies are made, and then come on back. All right, welcome back. So, this is really exciting. And I think it's really wonderful that this is being talked about and celebrated because here's the thing. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are 7 billion humans running around this planet. And each one of those humans is here because 2 other people had sex. So this is something that's very common in the human race. It happens pretty frequently, but it's not talked about in particularly the United States. It's very taboo still. We're still kind of fighting against this puritanical um, culture that was established hundreds of years ago. Um, and we find ourselves in a bit of a pendulating situation, right? Where we have 2 very extreme sides of this issue where it's either sex is taboo and we don't talk about it and it's very puritanical and it's very specific for procreation, and that's it. And then on the other side, we have pop culture that is telling us that sex is between 2 very intoxicated people at a club. And it's because one of those people is wearing string bikinis in the club and looking hot and it's whatever. Like, there's no middle ground where the average human being interacts with sex and sexual relationships. And so I am so excited that this was submitted this week because I hope that this opens up a conversation, specifically in long term partnerships, where sex is something that needs to be addressed and nurtured and cared for. Because as much as pop culture or the rando you meet at the bar might want you to think, long-term sexual relationships do require work. Like, yes, there's chemistry and yes, there's hormones and your body is responding to stimuli, sure. But over time, you need to nurture and cultivate it like a garden. And so I'm really excited about this person submitting this thing and wish you well, girl. And also, um, sorry, mom. Okay. Those are the 2 things. Yes, we're doing 2 this week. Because the shittergy is pretty heavy. So we're gonna transition into the shittergy now. Here we go. So we are holding so much space today for divorce and the dissolution of relationships. I had one person, my good friend Mike, respond that he is super sad about experiencing divorce, dissolution of his marriage. Also, my friend Jules from Philly, she's also really grappling with the separation and dissolution of her marriage and all of the things that are lost in that. So, not to get into in the weeds because this is not about me, but I have experienced divorce and it it is truly like a death. It is that's the best way I can describe it. It's not only the death of an institution, an agreement, a covenant, but it's also the death of what you thought your life was supposed to be. It's the death of oftentimes relational idealism. It's often the death of lifestyles. Divorce can lead to financial struggles that create hardships in where you're living, how your kids are interacting with life. There's so much, for lack of a better word, there's just so much death that occurs when a divorce happens. And it's just so shitty. It's just so shitty. There's literally nothing else to say about it. It's just super, super shitty. So Jules and Mike did not give any details about their divorce, which is totally fine. That's not necessary. But I did have an anonymous friend submit some pretty heartbreaking details about her divorce that I feel like, even if you haven't experienced divorce, you can empathize with, for the sheer fact that I think at this point in our lives, we've all experienced surprise in a bad way. So, this anonymous friend has been married for close to 2 decades. She got married when she was pretty young. In every way, shape, and form, this guy was the perfect husband. He helped with taking care of the kids full time. He helped with homeschooling. He helped with supporting my friend's career. And from the outside, and I can say this as someone who has walked alongside this person, from the outside, it looked like it was the perfect marriage. I mean, gorgeous children, super happy, devoted people. And then recently, this friend of mine found out that her husband had been leading a double life the entire time they were married. Whole other relationships with other women. Had no intention of ever telling her. Um, had no had no conflict in his soul about what he was doing and how he was essentially guiding her through a life that she did not consent to, which was one of duplicitousness and betrayal. So, in a very swift few weeks, this seemingly perfect family crumbled into a new broken reality. And as someone who watched it all happen, it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I can only liken it to, if you were to submit an essay. Yes, I'm a teacher still. If you were to submit an essay in your algebra class, your algebra teacher might be thinking, this is so incredibly wrong, but it is a thing. That's a terrible metaphor, but that's what it felt like. Watching it happen was like, this is not real. This can't be real. This is so insane. This is not even remotely sane. This is not sane. It's not. So that's shitty. I'm just gonna lay it out there. I'm gonna hold all the space for how shitty that is. It I don't have words for how completely and utterly shitty that is. It's disgusting. It's vile. It is harmful. Like, those children will always wonder to themselves, why weren't we good enough? Why did he have to seek out other women? Um, I hope they are able to learn over time that it had nothing to do with them, and I know my friend has already found that it has nothing to do with her. She's incredible. She's smart. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. She's funny. It's true lunacy and it's shitty. So for anyone who's out there experiencing any sort of betrayal or relationship fallout, breakdown, I I see you and I feel you, and I want you to know that you are inherently lovable just the way you are, regardless of your relationship status, regardless of how other people treat you, regardless of how they betray you. Your worth doesn't change because someone else chooses to harm you. It just doesn't. And I know how it can feel that way. I know how divorce can make you feel like you're a failure and you'll never find real love again. And I know how, from experience, I know how infidelity can make you feel so small and so worthless and so confused. But please know that those feelings are not final. No feeling is final, and no feeling is the capital T truth. The capital T truth is that you are worthy and you are lovable exactly the way you are. And if there are people out there who want to be shitty to you, they will answer to their shittiness in some other way. It's just, as our Lord and Savior Taylor Swift says, karma is my boyfriend. Remember? Karma is your boyfriend, okay? Or girlfriend. And when people are shitty to you in relationships, just lean into your buddy karma and feel some peace. So, with that said, I'm actually going to use this anonymous friend's good submission as your benediction for the day. So, this friend, she submitted this horrible story of heartbreak as her shit, but her good was entering reality. And let me tell you, living in true reality, even when it hurts, even when it's unfathomable, the minute you accept reality as it is, then you can interact with it in a way that makes sense and can help you grow and can help you change and help you learn. So for my friend, looking at her reality and seeing the life she thought she had never existed allows her to be present in the reality that is true and is real and go forth with new purpose, new alignment with her values, new alignment with her purpose. It's the best thing. When I went through my divorce and when I went through infidelity, so much of my anguish came from wishing it didn't happen, wishing it hadn't happened to me. And it did. I can't change that. I can't change it. I wish I could, but I can't. What I can change is right here and right now, entering into this reality. I can change what I do and how I respond to what is happening right now. I can't change what happened before. I can't predict what's going to happen later, but what I can do is sit right here in this reality. When it sucks, when it's good, when it's shit, sitting in it. And right there, anxiety cannot abide. Anxiety cannot abide in the present because anxiety is fueled by the what ifs of the past and the what ifs of the future. But the what is in the present, anxiety goes to die. So, with that, my benediction to you is to enter into reality today, right now, every single minute. Enter into reality. Enter into reality as many times as you need to throughout the day. Stop. Remember where you are. Remember who you are. And take a breath. You'll get through this. No feeling is final. See you next week.